Hello, parents and students. This is Dr. Grant. I want to come to you today on this Friday, January the 15th, to give you a lot of important information about how second semester will look and feel and be a little bit different as we move into a new semester with an increase of our student attendance days. First and foremost, know that this is the general overview of based on student attendance groups on what groups will be home on their assigned days of e-learning. What we've done, in addition to this graphic for you, is we have designed a specific calendar that we will rotate every 4 weeks for every attendance group. So, for example, here's our blue group, last name groups with last name A through D, which will show students specifically what days they come to school and what days they're at home. We've done the same thing for the red group, for the green group, and for our purple group. These calendars are be sent home to you via the parent newsletter. They're on our social media sites, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And it's also posted around the building, also will be posted on our school website. Teachers will also provide these to our students on a regular basis, and we'll rotate these every 4 weeks to update you about what your in-person and at-home days are. Let's talk a little bit about student attendance. We will take attendance on your in-person days, just like we traditionally would do when you come to the building. On your days when you're at home or your e-learning day, students, it will be your responsibility to check in every day. Teachers will place this Google form in their Google Classroom that you will complete for each block each day that you're at home. That'll be our way of you checking in and say, hey, I'm here, I am present, please count me present. If you do not complete the form each day, you'll be counted absent from school that day. Even if you've done your work that day, you have to do this attendance form for us to verify that you have checked in for the day. We'll talk to you more about that when you get into class next week, but I want to give you a heads up to start thinking about that. Let's talk a little bit about lunches and dismissal. What you see here is the bell schedule for the week. And so you can see that we start classes at 8:45 and we dismiss at 3:40 p.m., where we will start dismissing our car riders and drivers at 3:40, and then our bus riders will dismiss at 3:45. You'll also notice that we have increased our lunches from 4 lunches to 5 lunches so that we can ensure that we do not have to eat in the classrooms and that we can properly socially distance in the cafeteria. This is the assignment of teacher classrooms for lunch. Lunch is always at our third block instructional period. And so students, you can see on this chart specifically what teachers have which lunch. And so you can look at your schedule, find your teacher's name, and that will tell you which lunch you will attend. The numbers to the far right of this chart lets for planning purposes, it lets administration know how many students that we have scheduled in that particular lunch. We can safely seat at the social distancing standard 165 students in the cafeteria. And so this tells us what the maximum number of students we can anticipate coming at that particular lunch. Students, next week, you're also going to receive a student pledge form. This form outlines all of the expectations of what it means to be here in the building. And so we're going to go through this and start next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, in your first and third period classes. And then we're going to ask that you sign and acknowledge that you understand these expectations, because these are all geared around safety in the building and what your responsibility as a student will be and what our responsibility as people who love and care for you will be as well. So parents, look out for this student pledge form. It'll be in our parent newsletter that'll go out this week. You can cover this with your student as well at home to make sure you're all in agreement about what you will do here at school to make sure we're safe. There's also a Spanish version of that form as well. This is an overview, bird's eye view of what a podded classroom will look like. The red lines on this graph indicate the pod or the plexiglass that'll be in our classrooms. We have 100 plus classrooms in our building. Only 35 or so of those classrooms will be podded, which means that we only do this in order to increase the number of kids we can put into a classroom safely. CDC has given us new guidance, which is socially distanced in a classroom can include, instead of 6 feet, can now be reduced to 3 feet as long as we have properly installed plexiglass and students wear face masks the entire time. Here's an example of one classroom that's already podded, and so you can have an example of what that looks like. And here's another view of what a podded classroom will look like. Remember, we only have 35 or so classrooms in our building. The vast majority of our classrooms will not be podded, but we will have some that will look similar to this. Teachers will go over the expectations of what it means to be in this space as well when you come to school on next week. Here's a view of what a typical computer lab would look like. Let's talk a little bit about what your experience at home would be as far as learning and instruction. On your non attendance day or your e learning day, you're going to still engage with us in one or two ways. One, teachers may open up their Google Meets for what they call a live stream, so you can see in real time what's happening in the classroom, or the teacher may post a pre recorded video of themselves teaching a lesson that will still be the same lesson they're teaching that same day for the in person student. It is the expectation that you, the student, engage with us on one of those two ways when on your e-learning or at-home experience. The other thing I want to talk briefly about is office hours. So teachers will post on their website when they're available for additional help from you, which will be before school, during their planning, or after school for what their availability is. They will make themselves available by appointment, but they are available every day. Like I said, before, after school, or during their planning period. But you must set an appointment with your teacher to guarantee that they'll be there for you. All right. There's no time frame or limit of how long that can be. Teachers will do what's best for the student. Thank you very much for engaging with me today. I hope this gives you all the information you need to start the second semester. Remember to check your parent newsletters. We call it Leading Like Generals newsletter every weekend with all of these updates and reminders. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next week.